are here with us online today to the Woodlands High School Scuba Club. I have been the faculty advisor for, I think, the past 3 or 4 years. The club had been around for a while before that. I'm just not sure how long, but they didn't seem to be very active. And so whenever I came on as a teacher 5 years ago, I said, hey, I scuba dive. I'd like to help out with that. And so I became the faculty advisor, and we've been slowly building the club back up since then. Part of the thing I think that scared people away, it said, well, you can't take trips. This is just to sit around and talk about scuba. Yeah, sort of. I mean, but there's more to it than that. On this welcome screen, I've got the website, which hopefully everybody has seen. It's not one of our officer positions, but I am always looking for somebody that wants to employ some of their web design skills and maybe make our website look a little bit nicer, because it's very basic right now. I did update the logo to the newer Highlander logo recently, but other than that, it's a pretty, looks like last century's web design, but that's just because I wanted to get something up there for people to look at. This picture, you know, David, you said you had got certified in Turks and Caicos. This picture, I believe, is from Cozumel. That's a hawksbill turtle. And my daughter, Sarah, in the background, she was in the scuba club while she was in high school. She is now a freshman at Sam Houston State University. She attained the level of rescue diver. She's been having some ear problems the last year or two, so she hasn't been as active diving and wasn't as active in the club last year. Myself, I am a PADI trained master diver. So I've gone through open water, advanced open water rescue diver, and now I'm a master diver. It just means I paid a lot of money to get all the certifications, but whether I'm going to branch out into a dive master or an instructor route remains to be seen. But what I would like all of you guys to do is, I say sign in. I'm kind of looking at who's on the participant list, but again, some are using parents' emails or parents' Zoom logins, and some of the parents are here because their kids can't attend in person because maybe they have other after-school commitments. But if you would send an email to my school address that's listed in the little speech bubble from the turtle there, and what I'm looking for is your name, because it doesn't always show the same name or the correct name on Zoom. A good email address that you want correspondence from the club. It could be a personal email address or your school email address. Whether you're certified or not, because you don't have to be certified to be in the club, and you can let your friends know that, hey, I'm interested in scuba diving, but I don't know anything about it. This is a good place to learn about the opportunities that are out there. If you are certified, if you can provide which organization certified you, whether that's PADI, SSI, NAUI, those are the big three, and then what level you're at, like open water, advanced open water, rescue diver, those kind of things. And if you want to share any specialties you have, that might be cool, because maybe that's something where you can give a presentation in an upcoming meeting on, for example, nitrox or deep dives or wreck dives or cave dives or something. Haven't heard a lot of people that have their cave diving specialty, but that would be pretty awesome to hear about. But let me move on to the next slide. Hopefully everybody got a chance to write down that email address. I will show it again at the end.
Oh, nice.
So let me advance this slide. Just an overview of what the club is. Like I said, anybody can attend. We don't have any dues. You don't have to pay to join. If you show up at a meeting, I consider you a member of the club. Parents that want to sit in on meetings, especially the online ones where it's convenient. Teachers, faculty, I know we've had teachers show up in the past that want to learn more about opportunities out there. It's a way to meet people with similar interests. You know, one of the cardinal rules of diving is you never dive alone. You always need a buddy. It's safer that way. And so now you can see that there are other students here in the Woodlands High School that are certified, and they maybe want to go out on the weekend and dive one of the local sites. We can share information on how to get certified, how to get advanced certified, equipment, brands that you like, types of equipment that you like, travel that you've done that maybe you want to talk about, and some do's and don'ts for that. Local instructors if you're looking to get certified or upgrade your certifications. There's also scholarships available out there. Some of them are coming up pretty soon. And so we do try to encourage people to apply for those scholarships. Haven't had anybody locally get one of the national level scholarships yet, but they are out there, and I do encourage you to apply for them. And similarly, there are colleges where you can go and do things like marine biology and things where scuba certifications are either part of the curriculum that you'll get there, or if you're coming in with it, you can advance those skills as part of your overall college experience. So that's pretty cool. And then ultimately have a career with diving as one of the primary responsibilities. And we do try to bring in guest speakers from time to time. I know I've got one person that is interested in probably doing it through a virtual type environment, but speaking with us this fall. What the club is not, we are not, you come to the club and we certify you through the club. And the same thing, we don't do official trips. Like the school is not taking a trip to Blue Lagoon to go scuba diving. I think there's just too many liability concerns for the school and for the district to have something like that set up, at least at a club kind of level at this time. That being said, we can help with you getting linked up with people that can certify you. You know, maybe doing it as a group as opposed to just doing it one-on-one. The field trips, like I said, we're not going to get a bus and go somewhere, but we, in non-COVID years anyway, we'll meet up at somewhere like the Blue Lagoon. Hey, we're going to be there at this date at this time. We've got a spot reserved on the beach there, and we get together and dive as a group. So you get to see, you know, and meet some other kids and parents and things that like to do that kind of stuff. Moving right along. Meetings are generally the first Monday of every month that we have school. That's why we're meeting the 14th of September, because last Monday was the first Monday of September, but it was a holiday. So we try to keep it on the Mondays. It seems to work out well as far as us being able to reserve space in the school when we have our in-person meetings. So we've got those already on the school's facility calendar. Sometimes we'll bring in gear. We'll have a little bit of show and tell. If you want to do that kind of thing, say, hey, this is a regulator that I think works really well. These are some fins that are pretty cool. That is perfectly fine. Give us a heads up so that we know to expect that. Sometimes we'll have a trip report. I know our president and vice president last year, they gave a report on some diving that they did down in the Caribbean. I've done some in the past. And like I said, we have guest speakers, usually from the local community, whether that's a dive instructor. I know we've had Gary from Woodlands Dive Center come and talk, not just about training, but some of his experiences, and shared some of his underwater photography with us. We've had somebody from the Montgomery County Fire Department that works with their search and rescue for the county, recovering crime scene type items, maybe helping out with potential drowning victims and things. He has come and talked about it. We've had somebody that does underwater technical diving as a marine biologist has come in and spoken with us before. So it's just exposing you to some other things that are out there, either that you can volunteer. I know in Montgomery County, it's a volunteer thing if you want to help with search and rescue for them, or if it's something that you're interested in doing and getting paid to do it, you know, as a career. Diving on the oil rigs and inspecting them, for example, underwater welding. There's all sorts of things out there that if you've never been exposed to them, you would not know that they exist. Like I said, we'll talk about meetups that we'll have at local dive sites. We try to set up at least one Try Scuba event or a Discover Scuba each year, at least one, maybe more, depends on how many kids are interested. So that it's more fun to do it with somebody that you know, or at least you've worked with before, than to just go and totally do it by yourself. But we'll set those up at the Woodlands Dive Center as well. Snacks, I'm a big fan of getting together and having some cookies and chips and stuff. You know, a little hard to do with online meetings, but once we're back in person, we'll try to be getting those set up as well. If you haven't seen the website, it has a lot of this general info that we've been talking about on it. There is a copy of the bylaws that the school requires us to have. They're not too cosmic because this club is pretty low key, low threat as far as rules and requirements and things. We do have a list of last year's officers. We'll get this year's up once we elect them today. And I try to post pictures from whenever we all get together and dive, whether that's a Try Scuba event or somewhere off-site, just so that everybody can download those if they want them or share them otherwise. The email list, like I said, email me your information and I'll add you to the list so that we can send out reminders of meetings and dive meetups and things like that. And then we have the Remind, which many of you are probably already on, but there's the information on that as well. If you need to take a phone pic of that, I'll leave it up for a couple more seconds. All right, nobody's screaming, wait, wait, so I'm going to go on to the next slide. Today, like I said, I will talk a little bit about scuba type stuff because that's the fun part, and then we'll get down to the business. That'll be upcoming scholarship opportunities that you guys should be aware of, and then we'll elect our club officers as the final official business for the day. I try to only mention local dive sites that I have visited myself. There are a couple of other ones out there, but I just haven't been to them yet, so I can't give you any advice on them. The one that most people are familiar with around here is Blue Lagoon. It's up in Huntsville. Some of you may have gotten certified there and just go up there to keep your skills sharp and everything. It looks beautiful from the surface. Underneath, the visibility on the best of days is maybe 20 feet. In the summertime, the temperature is comfortable, but the visibility can suffer because everybody's out there diving and kicking out the sediment on the bottom. And so sometimes the visibility has been down to basically hold out your arm and you can barely see your hand. But many times, especially if it hasn't rained lately and started up, it can be decent visibility. They got some training platforms and a couple of boats underwater for you to look at. And again, that's Huntsville. That's roughly an hour from here. Now, if you drive an hour and a half to the southwest, you have Mammoth Lake. I went there for the first time at the end of July. I was really keen to go there because if you can see in this underwater shot, I am sitting at the navigator's desk inside a C-130 Hercules cargo aircraft. I am retired military, for those of you that don't know me, and I was a navigator on C-130s while I was active duty. And I heard on one of these social media sites that they had a C-130 that they had purchased for the purpose of sinking it in this lake. And sure enough, I went down there with a buddy of mine who was also a former crew member on C-130s, and we got to swim inside it and pretend like we were still doing our jobs except underwater. It was really cool to see. They got another airplane, another military airplane underwater, and they've got several boats, and it gets down to about 60 feet deep at its deepest point. Which is the limits if you don't have the full open water dive. I think it limits you to 60 feet, and you really are looking at doing deep dive training going deeper than that. So you can get to the limits for casual diving here. Visibility is not that great. It was between 10 and 15 feet. However, unlike Blue Lagoon, which is very alkaline and doesn't have a lot of aquatic life in it, there are plenty of bass and sunfish and probably turtles and things in Mammoth Lake. And it's really big. We didn't see everything that there is to see while we were there, just did 2 dives. So maybe that's something we can organize as a club to meet up there sometime. Don't know about fall, but in the spring, hopefully we'll be able to do it. Moving right along, this is about 3 hours from here, Spring Lake. If you've ever been here and taken their glass bottom boat rides, you can look down the bottom of the boat and see that it's beautiful. Visibility is great. It's natural springs. The water is cool in the summer, but it's warmer than the surrounding air in the winter and spring. So it's the same temperature in the water year round. You've got to wear a thicker wetsuit there because it's a little cool. And I've dove there 2 or 3 times. You have to get certified separately to dive here because it's sensitive. There's several endangered species here that are found nowhere else. And you get certified so that you can volunteer here. And you go and you pull out invasive aquatic weeds to keep the springs clear and open. And you're trying to keep it a good habitat for the endangered animals that live there. Lots of cool fish to see between the bass, the gar, catfish. They got these large, I think they're called prawns, but it looks like a crayfish, but they're huge. They come out at night. Lots of cool opportunities to volunteer there and help, contribute to. It's part of Texas State University, and they do a lot of their biological training there. So it's really cool. And I think Jonathan, who is on the session right now, I think he got certified there as part of your scout troop, right? He's shaking his head yes. So he can attest at how beautiful it is out there. But again, a little bit more work if you want to do some of the cooler dives there, and it's a little bit further away. Lake Travis out near Austin has a place called Windy Point, and it gets down to, I want to say 100, 115 feet deep. So you're talking about right near the recreational dive limits for safe diving. And you see this picture here with the flashlight. That's my daughter and I. We were doing some advanced training there, some night dives and things, but the visibility was not that great on this day. At times it can be better, but we saw a large catfish and some other fish. And they do boat dives here as well, where you go out on a boat, just like you would in the Caribbean or somewhere more tropical, and you're diving from the boat. And I think they can go to some other places around the lake that have a little bit better visibility. And then finally, the last one I've been to within the state here is Balmorhea. That's how you pronounce that. It is way out in West Texas, and I would say it's probably 6-7 hours from here, if not 8 hours. It's a bit of a haul. You're probably going to be doing an overnight trip, or you're out sightseeing some other things. But again, spring fed. They've built it to like it's a swimming pool from the surface, but underneath the bottom is natural. And there's some endangered fish in here as well, but there's lots of them. There's little pup fish, a couple of inches long, some Mexican tetras, and some catfish. And occasionally you'll find some turtles in there. Maximum depth about 20 feet, right in the middle. And the visibility is fantastic though. And again, spring fed, so it's the same temperature year round. This was in the summertime. I'm wearing a shorty wetsuit and a rash guard. And I think I've dove there in the wintertime before. I can't remember, but the water is going to be warmer than the air is, and so you have to take that into consideration. So those are 5 sites. Again, there's another lake, I think, in the Houston area called 288 Lake that I think is still open that I haven't checked out yet. And then off the coast, about 120 miles, is something called the Flower Gardens, and that is a seamount or an uprising from where it's normally many hundreds of feet deep to where it rises up to about 100 feet below the surface. And that means it's within reach of recreational dive limits. And it attracts all sorts of sea life that you otherwise wouldn't see. And you'll see some tropical type fish there that reach about their northern limits just off the coast of Galveston here. I wouldn't recommend diving right off the beach at Galveston. The visibility looks horrible. But way off the coast out in the blue water, it's pretty nice. And you can dive off of some offshore oil rigs as well and see some pretty cool stuff. So I'm interested in trying that at some point, but they usually go out when school's in session, so haven't been able to do that yet. Try Scuba, like I said, here is one of our current seniors, and I believe that might be Hayden, who is another senior at the Woodlands High School, but they did the Try Scuba event. I believe this was a couple of years ago. We generally can get it for about $30. That includes the cost of the rental gear, so if you have not scuba dived before, you get to do it. You learn about some of the basic biological principles that affect your body when you dive, and then you go put the gear on and you get in their pool, which is indoors. It's nice and warm, and like I said, it's more fun when you know somebody that's doing it. This is Ed Bergman. He is the grandfather of several Woodlands High School students that have been involved in our club, and great guy and always happy to help us out. And we've got some other instructors that we can put with you guys and get you your scuba experience for the first time if you need to. Scholarships, like I said, here's some that I know of. There might be other ones, like it says at the bottom of the slide. Google is your friend. You can look online and see if there are any coming up. There may be some that are school specific. I'm just looking at national level organizational type things. This Women Divers Hall of Fame, they have a lot of scholarships, and as the name implies, most of them are oriented towards young ladies. They do have some that are open to boys, so you just got to scroll through their list of numerous both college scholarships and also just training grants. If you haven't gotten your certification yet, but you're interested and you can explain to their satisfaction that this would really help, you might be competitive for a training grant. Or if you already have a certification and you're looking to take it to the next level, they have some training grants available for that. A lot of times those grants include not just the cost of your instructor time that you'll need, but also equipment. So it can pay for your regulator and your mask and fins and your tank and everything. So that's pretty cool. They are open now. The deadline to apply is October 31st. I think they make their announcements either in late December or sometime in January. I put junior ROTC up here because there are at least one scholarship within this Women Divers Hall of Fame umbrella that applies specifically to JROTC cadets. That might be something where now your pool of people nationwide that you're competing against is smaller, and that might help your chances. I don't know. My daughter applied for one of these scholarships in the past and she didn't get it. And I know we had another young lady apply last year and she did not get it either. So there could be thousands of people nationwide applying for these same grants, but you can't win for sure if you don't try. So I would go ahead and put your name in for them. Beneath the Sea is another organization that has scholarships for both boys and girls, as well as training grants. And it goes all the way from, you're talking ages 13 all the way up to ages 21 plus, I think. So it's not just for college, it's for while you're here in high school as well. Same thing with Women Divers Hall of Fame. Some of them are age range specific. So the time to apply for some of those is now. The website for Beneath the Sea hasn't updated for this year, but typically their scholarship application window is open until December 31st. So these are some things that are out there. If you're interested and want to know more, go to their websites first of all. If you need to take a screenshot or phone pic of this, great. And like I said, I'll post these slides so that y'all can get the information that way as well. But I'll try to help. You know, if I know you, I can write letters of recommendation if a scholarship application requires it. If I don't know you, it's going to be a little bit harder. You'll want somebody that knows you and has known you for several years. I'm going to keep moving. I just admitted Seth Dykstra. He was in the waiting room. I thought he had something after school, but I guess he's joining us for the tail end here. The last order of business we have that we need to get taken care of today is electing this year's officers. I've shown you up here the outgoing president, vice president, and secretary. Two of them have graduated. One of them is in on the meeting right now. Rachel is still here because she is a current junior, and so she's around, but the other two ladies have gone on to college. The officers generally are going to run the club. I try to just be the advisor and stay back, you know, after this first meeting and provide advice, but they'll organize and, hey, are we going to have a guest speaker for this month, and who's bringing snacks and that sort of thing. Specifically, this is what the president does, and this is out of our bylaws. They're going to preside over the meetings, represent us at the meetings themselves, but then at school functions as well. You know, often the yearbook will call and say, hey, who's the president? I need to coordinate to get a yearbook photo of the club, that sort of thing. That's what the president will do. Committee chairpersons as needed. We've never had a need for separate committees because we're generally a small club, but if we needed to, the president would start organizing those things as well. For vice president, if the president's gone, they fill in, just like a vice president should. I don't think there's anything else I need to explain on that. But then the secretary keeps the records of the club, attendance, keeps the roster current, make sure everybody signs in each meeting. And there's benefits to signing in. You know, for example, everybody that's present at this online meeting today, your name is now in the hat for prize drawings. I'm hoping to have at least 2 prize drawings this year. And the reason there's only 2 is because generally scuba equipment is kind of pricey, but we have had a couple of people donate some things. The things that we have right now, we do have 1 wetsuit, and we have, I think, 2 sets of dive boots that you would wear in conjunction with fins. So they're the nice neoprene gear. I will try to set up so that we have a drawing at the Christmas or the December meeting when we generally have our Christmas party. And then we'll have one at the end of the year, of the school year as well. So every time you come to a meeting, your name gets one more time into the hat, and we'll draw out the winners at those meetings. Anyway, at this point, we will take nominations for these 3 positions. You can nominate yourself. If we have more than 1 person nominated for a position, we might need you to say why you think you're the best choice. Even if not, after we elect these people, we can have them give a brief introduction. And then, like I said, towards the beginning, it's not an officer position, but if somebody's interested in making our website look a little prettier, a little more modern day, I am open to entertaining inputs on that. So at this time, if you want to unmute yourself and say something like, hey, it's me and I want to nominate myself or nominate somebody else for president, let me know and I'll start writing that information down. I've got a poll set up so that we can conduct the vote once we have the nominations closed. I think I can edit it real time. Otherwise, we'll just have to say candidate 2 on the list is Rachel, and candidate 1 is Jonathan, and you're picking which one you're voting for whatever. But anyway, at this time, you can either post on chat or unmute yourself and say, hey, I'd like to run for president, vice president, secretary.
Hello, I am Rachel. I am going to be running for president. I was the former secretary last year.
All right. And, so somebody's already chimed in and broken the ice. Good, because I didn't want it to be just like awkward silence. We're like, oh, nobody's running for anything. But Rachel can probably attest to it. I mean, she's been very active with our club, even as small as it is, and worked with the 2 ladies that were president and vice president last year. And I think she'll probably have some good ideas for anybody that may get elected this year. But what I try to explain to people on these things is, like I said, this club is pretty low key, but yet at the same time, now I'm speaking as a faculty advisor, as a teacher, a parent, and just an adult in general, that when you start applying for colleges or applying for jobs, what have you done in high school? Did you just go to class, or were you part of a club or a sport or another activity? This is one that's pretty easy, and you can show some leadership in, even though it's not a really big club. And so any of these positions would be something where you can really make a difference in our club and maybe get some good things for your college applications on your resume. So I've got down Rachel is running for president. Is anybody else interested in running for president? If so, you can unmute and say something. And I'm kind of watching my participant list. I don't see anybody else unmuting for that. But I won't totally cut that off. I am going to, however, ask if anybody is running for vice president. We will need a vice president, and we will need a secretary.
Sorry, my name is Maddie Beanie, and I'm interested in running for vice president.
Maddie Beanie. All right. I do not know you, Maddie. Are you freshman, sophomore, junior, senior?
I am a senior.
Okay.
And it's kind of new to joining this, but I'm hoping to get some more certifications and more experience scuba diving and things like that.
Awesome. All right. Anybody else interested in running for vice president? And again,
hello.
Oh.
My name's Seth Dykstra, and I'll be interested in running for vice president. I'm a freshman.
Seth Dykstra. Are you certified, not certified?
Not certified. Just
not
looking
certified.
to have fun and
okay.
Do some new stuff.
Okay. So I've got 2 candidates for vice president at this time. And there is also the position of secretary. So if
Hi, my name is Emily, and I would like to run for secretary.
All right, Emily, yes. And you are certified?
Yes, sir.
Because you went, I think you came to the
Hooligan?
fall dive. Yeah, and we were diving out there. Yep. Okay, and you are a sophomore this year?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Cool. Is there anybody else interested in running for president, vice president, or secretary?
I'm Jonathan. I'm interested in secretary.
Okay, and Jonathan, you are certified. And I think you've been out with us to Blue Lagoon as well, and you are a sophomore this year. Wow, we got ourselves a real election process because we have 2 candidates except for president. Is anybody else interested in running? I will entertain any other nominations here for about another 30 seconds or so, but I don't want to, just belabor the point. We'll call it going once, going twice, and nominations will be closed. 8 people of 9 have voted. I think that's going to be it with all the people that are eligible and qualified to vote. So I'm going to end the polling. And it looks like, I don't know who the wise guy is, but Rachel got all but 1 vote for president. Somebody voted for the mysterious candidate 3, but Rachel won in a landslide, unopposed for president. For vice president, it was a little bit closer with the small numbers of people we have. Maddie is going to be our vice president. And then for secretary, again, it was pretty close down till the end here, but Emily is going to be our secretary. So we have a second year running of girl power leading the charge on our officers. That does not mean that you cannot do something contributory towards the club. Again, I'm speaking from my perspective as a teacher and somebody that writes letters of recommendation, that we do have that webmaster position where you could contribute, as well as maybe if you volunteer to speak or do some sort of show and tell or a report on a trip you've been on. That's definitely something that could be worked in as something favorable for you in the future.